Well, now, hello. Welcome to this week's episode of Armchair Philosopher.
Counterfeit philosophies have polluted all of your thoughts.
It's not really called that. I was just joking about the philosophy thing because we're going to get deep today.
I'm going deep, deep, deep.
We're going to talk about everybody's favourite subject, death.
That's cast rather a gloom over the evening, hasn't it?
But, in a light-hearted and jovial way. The post this week was called Brace Yourself for Final Impact. This is not a warning about watching the movie Final Impact, although that is a tough old movie. This week's post, as I said, was about death, and no, I'm not obsessed with it.
How dare you?
I'm not.
How dare you?
What makes you say that? Just because I've done multiple posts about death before? I've done the one about getting my melanoma diagnosis. I've done one about the anniversary of my mother's death. And now there's this one. I'm sure there's probably others in there. Brace yourself for final impact actually has a double meaning in the context of this post. It was the final impact, meaning the impact that the person who has passed on into Valhalla or wherever they're going, the impact or impression or influence they've had on your life and what they leave behind.
No, goes here.
And the final impact that you should brace for, the thought of what you,
Yes, you.
the individual, what kind of impression are you making? What imprint are you going to make on people's lives when you call the Uber to wherever it is you're going? I don't know what the rates are on that, but you should treat your driver kindly.
I don't tip.
So this whole episode sounds like it's going to be pretty morbid, but it's not. So, an old friend of mine passed away recently. It's not a happy note to start on. His name was Mick. I say old friend because we hadn't spoken in 20 years, primarily because I moved to America and he still lived in Australia. But when I heard that he had passed, all these little flashes of memory and snippets of conversations and things that we did, because he was a in my life friend for about 6 or 7 years when I lived in Canberra, I guess.
Canberra's a capital.
But it's funny how all of those memories come back. I don't say all, it's just like the snippets of memory that you just don't even think about until you're faced with the fact that that person is no longer there and you reach for those. And one of the weirdest things is like how you think your memory can still hear their voice. Like I can still hear him talking, even though that's impossible. I haven't heard his voice in forever. But your memory is like, yes, I'm picking a moment in that conversation where you can hear his voice. On my bike ride this morning, I had this memory of him. Like I call mosquitoes mosquits, and it's not because I'm an idiot. It's because of a story that this friend who just passed told me over 20 years ago. And the story was about his childhood friend, Hans Mensch, who called mosquitoes mosquits. Now, I will forever have this story implanted in my brain, lives there rent-free. And every time I call mosquitoes mosquits, I think of him. Mosquito! And this is where we're going to flip. We're going to not talk about my friend anymore. We're going to talk about the different kinds of impressions that people leave on you, the imprints, the fingerprints that are left in your memory arms after they've gone. And that's what the post was talking about. It only brought up a couple. It was a parent, a friend, there was something else. And then there was celebrity. Don't you know who I am? It actually kicked off the whole article talking about when a celebrity dies, how people respond to that.
By mid-morning, the gates of John Lennon's luxury apartment block had become a shrine.
Because of the imprint or impression.
Obama joins the world in mourning the death of Prince.
Or impact that celebrity had on their lives.
Such vast numbers of all ages and backgrounds have come to the royal palaces impulsively to be amongst the sweet scent of these flowers.
It's incredible how people leave a footprint in your brain. I mean, I just said fingerprints on your brain arm there, but it's the impression, really. The celebrity one is interesting because when a celebrity of a certain status dies, everyone now comes out on social media or whatever and does the old RIP posts. Some of those people are just jumping on, like feeling like, oh, I got to pretend like that person meant something to me. But other people, that celebrity did mean something to them. It's not about participating in global grieving. It's about having nowhere to slot that grief because you have no formal connection to this person. You can't call their family and say, I'm so sorry. So you're like, well, I need someone to know how much this person meant to me. So of course you go online. Of course you talk about it. And it's interesting because the majority of the time, for most people, you only know that celebrity through their work.
I love your work.
So it's not the celebrity that's leaving the impression, it's really the work.
And your work is amazing.
Like, that's the thing that has affected you. Whether you think, this person's writing made you the writer that you are today, or just the person that you are today. Or maybe someone's music was playing the first time you ever met the love of your life. And that's the connection that you have. Or maybe whoever's artwork was the first artwork that ever made you feel something for yourself rather than just being told something was good.
I like this.
So what is the emotion that death represents? Like I'm saying impact impression, but really it's just saying that death represents the end of the work.
Love your work.
There will be no more work, no more output coming from that person. This is it. The end of the line. What we have, what they left behind, that's it. The way I'm talking about it now, like that's the same with anybody, famous or not. But let's come back to that. There's no further opportunity to get any new work out of them unless I guess you're a Beatle. They keep digging up Beatles things. And unless, of course, you run the Prince estate. Or, I think I got that David Foster Wallace book here that was published, that was unfinished and published after his death. I've never read it, probably because I sometimes think I'm not smart enough to read David Foster Wallace.
Idiot.
I'll keep trying. So Cormac McCarthy died recently, and many of you know he is my favourite author of all time. I say is because he still is. Yes, he has passed away, but I still have the books. Therefore, he is still my favourite author. I will reread his books forever.
I love him.
He hadn't published anything in 16 years, and then last year... If you're a Cormac McCarthy fan, you got just handed this absolute gift. That's cool. There's a face. 2 books at once. Oh my God, The Bounty.
Bounty hunter.
The Bounty of it. I just finished the second one, the Stella Maris one. So good. There is no more Cormac McCarthy, ever. So I got online and I said, he was my guy. My point is, as long as the work is alive, technically he's alive. And I suppose the correlation I would make there is, as long as you have these memories, like that Mesquits story I was just telling you about with my friend Mick, then they're still alive in your memory. I'm not saying there's no grief. I'm not saying there's no brutality to the experience of having to process that death. I'm just saying that the imprint is always there. They leave a mark.
That's going to leave a mark.
People leave a mark, and that's what you want to do. You want to make something of your life that leaves a mark. Not a stain.
Can't get the stink out.
A mark. I would say, I'm trying to think of a nice philosophical way to say it, like a person's life is their body of work. And you have to celebrate that body of work and the impact that it has on you, much the same as a celebrity's body of work means something to you.
Don't forget me when I'm gone.
All that work, celebrity, partner, spouse, friend, it leaves a mark. And you should eulogize it however you want, but you should definitely look at it and acknowledge that it's there. Acknowledge the impact, I guess. I guess that's what this post was. This post was like talking about that and then also leading to this idea of just asking yourself, are you leaving the right impression or the kind of mark that you want to leave on not just the world, but the people you love? I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to talk about. Sorry it was about death. Some people don't like talking about death. I find death to be very confronting, particularly if, like in the case of a friend, if you're similar ages, and it happens more and more the older you get, you start to really think about your own mortality, your place in the world, what have you been doing, and it's kind of confronting. I'm kind of rambling now. Let's wrap it up. I'll see you next week.